Hello Internet, AdoptedMike here, and in this video we're going to take a look at my personal setup here. This is, I guess we'll call it, my 2015 post-fire setup video. Hope you enjoy. So for starters, this is the Mountain Mods U2 UFO case. As you can see, this is entirely a cube case here. It measures 18 inches by 18 inches, so it is an 18-inch cube. So what more can you say? It's all aluminum, and obviously I've got the black crinkle coat here, if you can tell by the video. And we've got a 3-fan intake across the front, and I have some fan controls here. I added this 2-port USB 3.0 from the front panel header on the motherboard, and I've got a Blu-Ray Reader. Basically, their cases are pretty modular, so this is how I've got mine set up, but there is a lot of different options. They get kind of expensive, so I'm glad I was actually able to save this from the fire. Everything in it, like the fans and the motherboard and the video card and everything, unfortunately was toast with the smoke damage, but I was able to clean up this pretty well. There's a few little marks here and there around it. As you can tell there that, you know, it's a little off, but most of the case stayed in very good shape. So there's a good look at the front, and now let's go take a look at the innards. Alright, so here's a shot then of the motherboard and the setup here. So you can tell I've got a Sabertooth series board, and this is an X99 board. I went with this, actually I was going to go X99, but X79 at the time that I bought this stuff was ridiculously cheap. I mean, everybody was giving it away. So I bought this board used, and I think I paid like $150 for it, which you just can't even, unfortunately, you can't even touch X99 boards of this caliber for that. Although I wish it did have that thermal armor. I do like that, but at any rate, kind of price was the concern here. And I was also able to pick up a 4930K for like $300 or $400, somewhere in that range, which you can't even touch the equivalent X99 for that price. So that definitely kind of was the determining factor when I purchased the parts for this. I've got 16 gigabytes of G.Skill sniper RAM, and I've got 2133 on that, so it's able to run with the Ivy Bridge E CPU there. I'm using an H80i cooler from Corsair, the 120mm radiator being up there, to kind of give you an idea of the backbone of the system. These little things here, they're like little dust covers to cover up the PCI Express slots. But anyway, we've got a GTX 980 Ti that I just released a video on a couple of weeks ago. So I've got that in the system, and obviously I've got room for another one should I choose. And then for storage, I've got a 4 gigabyte Seagate Barracuda here. And then I've also got 2 SSDs. They're actually just underneath the optical drive. I've got a 256 gigabyte Samsung 840 Pro, and I've also got a 500 gigabyte Samsung, it was an 850 Pro, and then I have a 500 gigabyte 840 Evo. So yeah, the 850 Pro is my boot, and then the Evo is for my games. And then I just use a utility called Steam Mover to move Steam games off the 4 terabyte onto the 500 gigabyte back and forth as I need them. And I also have a NAS to do all the backups on this. But at any rate, that's kind of what's going on inside the case. You can see here too, I've got 2 more intake fans. If we can, there we go. 2 more intake fans on the back there. Sorry about the lighting, I'm trying to make this as bright as possible, but it's not quite working out as I had planned. But anyway, so this particular Mountain Mods case is the EATX version of what I had, because the board before was an EATX board, but when I, lost it in the fire, I just stepped down to a regular ATX board. So there are 3 slots that aren't you know, covered by the motherboard. And then this one here, I actually have something special coming to do some testing with. So I've removed this because I'm getting ready to install actually a PCI Express SSD that I wanted to test out. So I've got that ready to rock and roll. But yeah, that essentially is what's on the inside of this system. Let me show you one of the cool things that that I found out about these big ass cube cases. Oh, before I go, let me mention I have these cutouts here. I had a water cooled system and it was an external radiator, so I had my in and out for the water cooling system. In the fire I lost a it was an MSI Big Bang X-Power 2 X79 board, and I had the water block for the board. I had a water block on the CPU. I had two GTX 680 classifieds in SLI, and I had the water blocks for those as well too. So I had an entirely water-cooled system, which was a pain in the neck to do, and I mean, it was definitely quiet, but I'm not you know, it doesn't make a huge difference to me on noise levels. So I decided that with the effort that I put into it and then, you know, losing it, that I was just going to hold off and do an air-cooled system for a while until I built up the courage to go for water cooling again. But anyway, let me move along here and I'll show you, like what I said, one of the cool things about this Mountain Mods case. So here is a shot of the basement, and this is one of the cool things that I was referring to. You've got a lot of room down here to do all kinds of stuff with. I don't have anything going on at the moment, but at one time I had 4 hard drives in a RAID 10 down here, and for quick mass storage. This one has an option for a second power supply, which I definitely won't be using. Speaking of power supply, there's an EVGA 1050G back there, so 1050 watts, which is gonna be more than enough that I'm gonna need for the system. So I doubt I'll ever utilize that. But at one point I did have, when I was running triple graphics cards way back when I first bought this case. This is like the 3rd or 4th build in this case, which is good because it was, if I recall, it cost me around $500 at the time. So getting 4 or 5 builds out of one case is that definitely makes your money go spread out a little bit better when you spend that kind of dollars. But yeah, at one time I did have 2 power supplies anyway on a triple graphics card build. I think it was back in the 580 days. I think I had a triple 580 classified. But at any rate, it did at one point have 4 hard drives down here in its own little, like an IC dock that I kind of had mounted. And then you can also tell too, I have this, I have a lot of this foam all around the case too to help with some of the sound, to deaden the sound a little bit. But yeah, that's one of the neat things about the case, other than the obviously the horizontal motherboard, which makes mounting graphics cards really easy, especially heavy ones, because you don't have to worry about any kind of sag. But yeah, so the basement's kind of cool too. So there's really a lot you can do with a case like this, but it's definitely an investment. So anyway, that kind of wraps up the computer side of it. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at my my desk setup. So for my desk and work area, let's start off with the monitor. My monitor of choice right now is the 34-inch ultra-wide LG. I didn't get the higher one, the 3440 by 1440. I got the 2560 by 1080. For a few different reasons. One of them being price. This monitor goes for about half of the more expensive one, although I will agree I have seen the more expensive one in action and it is absolutely breathtaking. I just couldn't drop $1,000, unfortunately. So I have this for right now, and it is incredible for gaming ultra wide. It is, if the game supports it. There are a few that don't, and those are kind of annoying. But the games that do support it, it definitely adds a level of immersion. And it's only 60 Hertz, but the 980 Ti has no problem hitting 60 Hertz. So I just turn VSync on and go with it. Eventually someday I hope to upgrade to a nicer panel, but for right now this one is a lot nicer than I expected when I bought it. So we'll go ahead and move down a little bit. I've got a little cheap pair of Logitech speakers there. It's a 2.1 system, so there is a subwoofer mounted below that we'll get to. And then I've got a little Corsair mouse and a Corsair Mousepad. We'll get in there a little closer. I forget the model number or name, but I'll put a link in the description. This one is pretty good. It's not my favorite mouse I've ever used, but you know, what do you do? It definitely it gets the job done, and it's not bad for some gaming. And then there's the mouse pad I mentioned. I also have this little wrist rest that seems to help. Then I've got a QuickFire here, the CoolerMaster, and just change the WASD keys. And no, I do like this a lot. It's got the brown switches, so this works very well for gaming, for what I use for it. I guess I mentioned this 3M stand I forgot here, just to boost the monitor up a little bit and give me some optional storage below. I'll take a step back, and then if I need like a more full-featured keyboard with a 10 key, I've got this Logitech G510 below, and then it's got the little LCD readout should I need that as well. So I've got both keyboards hooked up, and I mean, obviously it works fine. And then down there's the subwoofer before that I mentioned from the Logitech speaker set, and then I have a CyberPower UPS there in case the lights go out. I don't lose any, I don't have my computer drop down or anything like that. And I almost forgot the Xbox 360 controller. Gotta have one of these. So that wraps up my video on my post-fire 2015 setup tour. Hope you liked it. Leave any comments or questions below. If I missed anything, I will definitely answer them for you. And as always, thank you for watching.